Welcome to Ultiworld's coverage of the Select Flight Invite East out of Hillard, Ohio. We got the mixed final for you between Arbor Hybrid and the Cleveland Crocs. I'm Theo with Luca Serio. Luca, this is going to be an exciting final. Can't wait for it to get started here.
Yeah, two teams that definitely battled to get here, and two teams we haven't seen play yet this year, so should be a good one.
Swing it far side to Pletsky. Give and go action, but too far from Matonis, and Hybrid right away. A chance for a break.
Yeah, those dangerously long up lines.
Mansfield has it for the Hybrid as they try to get the first break right out of the gate here, hoping to generate some momentum as Champeau, guarded by Scion. Stopper looking for the around, hits it finally with Witten going up to grab that. Pick called downfield. As Stoutberg retains the disc there for Hybrid, looking for that first break. Looking for Kuznicki, and she can't come up with it, so the Crocs get a second opportunity here on this first O point.
Sometimes hard to get those offhand backhands to float the way you want. Wonder if he threw that flick there, a little touchy flick, it might have been a completion.
Crocs moving it side to side as Binkley dialing up a large backhand. Looking for Rachel Mast, and she's going to walk right into the end zone for the Crocs hold. One turnover apiece, but the Crocs get the hold they need to go up 1-0.
Yeah, this is a bomb from Binkley. I have a feeling this won't be the last time we see that this game, and Lefty's such an advantage against a flick force, able to step out and just throw his backhand.
As Luca, we get to see the Hybrid O-line, their first opportunity. Alex Pan, the Cal Ugmo alum, centering it to Connor Lucas. Looking right away deep. And just too far there for Mr. James Highsmith, and O'Brien with the D, and Crocs now a chance for a break.
Hustle play by O'Brien. Now you can hear the sideline telling O'Brien to take off. They feel like he has an advantage in his matchup.
Instead, it's Graber who's going deep on Stezlicki. Just outside the end zone. Breaks around to O'Brien, so O'Brien does get the score, in fact, and the Crocs get the break.
A little and one around break here from Graber. It's nice same third shot, put it out to space, let him get this when he wants, and then O'Brien doing exactly the right thing, right? How many times have you seen someone go deep and no one else is going with the player that's cutting, and they catch the huck and they have to wait for everyone to come up and everyone to get in front of them and everyone to get set, and by that point it's stall 8 and it's a turn. So got to follow the deep huck even if it's not thrown to you. See what happens.
Or they call a timeout too, but too early for that, especially with this start as Stezlicki faking deep coming under.
I'll come back to that point in a minute, but I have a thing against calling timeouts after you caught a huck.
Yeah, there's definitely two schools of thought on that, as Pan with it on the sideline. They swing it all the way around. Some miscommunication with Lucas, and Davenport with the scoop up D.
Yeah, Lucas committed to clearing at that point.
You get the disc to Zoo on the far sideline. They've been looking for options. Some miscommunication as Burns snags it.
Oh, Mark stopping a huck from going up there.
Lehman quarterbacking this offense right now for their defensive line. Stezlicki with the big, can't come up with it. Another bid, this time from Pan. Hybrid leaving it all out there right now, trying to get this defensive point back. She's looking in the area, finds Becca for the score, floats it over the stack, and the Crocs, look at that, they go up 3-0.
Yeah, great throw by Lehman, and it only feels appropriate she gets to throw the assist here. I mean, she ran this point for Crocs. And they get to the end zone, and she just finds what she wants over the stack, keeps it nice and high, and then blades into a spot where only her receiver can catch it.
A couple former notorious CLE members. You'll notice a certain theme here, Luca, with a lot of the open and women's team players from Cleveland forming this Cleveland Crocs squad here.
Yeah, and you think that, compared to a hybrid team, which has been around for a little longer, that they'd sacrifice some level of connectivity or, and chemistry is probably an overused term, but there would be less of that on a team that's, just formed for this club season, but we haven't seen that so far. Crocs up 3-0.
David moving the disc well as Lucas has it now. And he's going to go with the hammer to Stezlicki. Slides for the grab, and Hybrid gets the much-needed hold. Down 3-1. Kick spike from Stezlicki. They're getting his team fired up.
Yeah, not someone that's any stranger to being sort of the emotional center of an O-line. We saw Jake Stezlicki play with Magnum so much. I mean, the most we probably ever streamed him for Ultiworld was like 2017 CCC back there in the fall when they were playing with Nathan Shapiro. But either way, a lot of Michigan guys kind of building up the core of this hybrid, and a lot of guys that, like we just talked about, have a lot of chemistry and have played together for a long time and took that Magnum team to quarters not too long ago.
Pletsky and Binkley, they're working out there in the split stack. Squeaks it to Kirkman on the far side. Kagazwala there, along with Kirkman, the handling core of this offensive line for the Crocs. A couple ex-smokestack players, as we talked about there. And Witten snags it out of the air.
Oh, look at that.
Great defensive play as Hybrid moves it quickly here. Another break opportunity for the Ann Arbor squad. And they're going to fight to Sarah Nitz for the score. And a break. They're fired up. It's 3-2.
Yeah, I would be too. This is sick. Look at this. Reads it. He's triangulating. He has his defender in the corner of his eye. He's watching the disc, which isn't always a good idea, but it works in the handler space. And then he just gets up. Is it a bid? Is it a sky? It doesn't really matter. It's a turnover. Hybrid. Fast break the other way. A break.
I like the speed at which Hybrid operated, especially on the defense there, on their offensive plays. Really just moving the disc well as Kagazwala back out there with the offensive line.
But to your point, Theo, it's not something that every team has the ability to do, right? Some teams, their play is after the turnover, slow everything down, get your offense set, and run your O. And for some teams, it's fast break, attack quickly, use your number advantage, and get the disc into the end zone.
Saw a turnover there from Sion as Dagger Margosian looking deep, and he's gonna find his receiver Nora Mertz for the score, and Hybrid tying up this game. Let's go.
Yeah, Syzygy alum Nora Mertz in the end zone there. This is such a nice leading huck. So touchy and just well put, and way to get that disc back and punch in another break for Hybrid.
Mark Witten with the pull for Hybrid. The Crocs, we'll see what offensive players come out. We see Davenport out there along with Graber, Matone, Zoo, as they're pushed back here with the deep pull.
And this is when you kind of go to maybe a universe or a hybrid line, not to use the name hybrid there, but you put players in the field right now that you know can score.
Gergat working with Davenport as Witten rolled off of Gergat. Really working on that tight silent as they swing it back to the center of the field.
And great patience so far. Hasn't felt like Crocs have thrown anything that's out of their range or too aggressive, and they've been able to make up ground, get out of their end zone, and now they're all the way to half field.
Graber toes the line, marked up against Shampoo. I like that matchup. Two tall receivers there for both teams. Floats up the dump throw. Davenport comes down with it. Crocs needed that. And he's going to float it out to the aforementioned Graber, and he's going to tumble down and score the point for the Crocs. A much-needed hold for them, 4-3.
Wow, everything done by Davenport there. Reads this. He originally gets looked off for the reset, and then is able to recover, keeps his head up, right? This is why it's fun to play with a Frisbee and not like a baseball or a football. That thing will hang, and Davenport gets under it, and then Graber, after he throws his reset, he kind of lulls his defender, takes off, and then puts it right in his hands in the end zone. So Crocs survive the third straight potential break from Hybrid and get their defense back on the field.
Graber now back on defense there with the pull as they center to Lucas. Lucas and Pan doing a lot of the handling duties here as Perticone initiating out of the stack. Brittany Wright with some pressure from Susie Becca, but she catches it and centers it over to Pan. Lucas this time going with a blade, same receiver, and he's going to float over, burns his head to Jake Stazlicki for the score. Not a carbon copy, Luca, of the last score for Stazlicki, but similar idea from Lucas.
Yeah, for starters, you missed the kick spike this time, but again, works out. Easy done.
Center to Kirkman again for the Crocs. Coming around a horizontal stack. Low throw. Can't come up with it.
Oh, that Mertz was so close to that. Turnover anyways.
Hybrid trying to punch another break. Mansfield right away. Looking for Sarah Nitz. And she skies over Rachel Matz for the score. Get up. 5-4 Hybrid.
We got two-handed jam here. This is a nice throw. I mean, this is like one of those ones that if you put this over the defender's head, they're kind of in a no man's land where they just can't do much about it. And you know, it's difficult to jump and elevate quickly when you're backing up, and the receiver just in a better position to get up for that disc. Oh, turnover. That's it. That's the pull.
That looks like it, but I like the celebration from James Hill as well, patting his head after and praising Nitz there with the dunk, right? The two-handed there.
I always wondered, right, if you drop that while you're waiting to pull, that is a turnover, right? Or maybe not a turnover, but does that count as your pull?
It depends if they've signaled readiness, I think. I'm not too sure on the rule there, but definitely no harm, no foul there for that play as Crocs back on O.
I'm good to have a laugh like that early in a game like this.
Yeah, contested final, a tight one as Matona's going down the line. Same third, Huck looking for Scion. He reels it in just outside the end zone. He's going to blade it over a few players, over to Griffin Binkley for the score. Crocs get the hold.
Yeah, this is a great shot to Scion. Scion, a former, you were saying, Theo, a former next-gen guy coming onto this roster. It's some guy that's played in and around Ohio for a while now, but it's the throw that sets this up, which is so nice. Keeps it inbound, same third. Perfect. A little blade at the end. Something we've seen a few times so far this game.
It looks like both teams utilizing the blades, right? Maybe having some time off, working on their throws. They're deciding to work on some blades and hammers to really accentuate their style here and their ability to stretch the field.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like a game where there's a lot of wind either, right? Maybe that's just the kind of thing that's working so far.
3-4 cutters clear out here as Hernandez tried to get underneath but can't get it.
I feel like, too, though, Theo, throwers tend to get creative, right? And they have that kind of anything you can do, I can do better mindset sometimes, and they see something they like and they try it out themselves.
Looking for Simcoe, but Lehman scoops it up for the Crocs. They have another break opportunity here at 5-all.
This first half flying by.
Low throw picked up by Zoo. We got a couple Huck fakes, decides not to throw it.
Probably a good decision. Cutter was pretty deep at that point.
Gorman's going to launch it instead. Short throw. Couple players in the area, but it's a block here.
Seems like a foul call. But yeah, they might have disagreed about it. I feel like that disc hit off the receiver's fingertips before the contact happened.
Yeah, disc going back to Hybrid here. They started on O as Stezlicki finds it underneath to Hernandez. Hernandez again here on the open side. Guarded by AJ Uthi. Couple of fakes and finds Pan on a little inside cut there. Right, looking for options. And Milo Corman sneaks in for the block.
That was absurd. Yeah, switches hands in the air, so clean, and then, just going to casually pick this up and get the offense started in my Rick and Morty tank top.
Yeah, sometimes with the adrenaline, you might see a player like that decide to pump it deep, but he decides to go for the safe throw to Lehman there.
Cooler heads prevail.
Corman now goes with the inside shot. O'Brien can come up with it. Stezlicki with some good pressure defense there, preventing that catch.
Yeah, just a drop in the end, though, but you think you like that kind of turnover. It's pretty aggressive inside lane throw and something that probably has and probably will work.
Hernandez really working here in the cutter space on this offensive point for Hybrid. Connor's going to look deep. Just going to sail over. It's another offensive opportunity here for the defensive line of Crocs.
Here's some discussion on the sideline, talking about how many timeouts they have left.
Another short huck. This time O'Brien grabs it over Stezlicki. Zoo settles things down, looking for a dump opportunity. Finds Lehman. A little give and go action. Zoo dialing up a hammer of her own, and it's a short one, and Lucas just smacks it out of the air. And now a timeout from Hybrid. You were mentioning that earlier, Luca, and it looks like they decide to listen to you all the way out in the booth there and call a timeout.
I think Crocs was talking about it, but either way, long point. Give yourself a rest, get the look you want.
Pan gets it back at the center of the field, guarded by Corman.
Oh, my God.
Great fake by Pan there. Ray gets a little bump, throws the around, and Pan for the layout. He scoops it for the score. He really made Corman work on D. Really nice cutting from Pan in the handler space.
Yeah, unguardable there for the majority of that point when he was in the reset space and able to get open at line, up line pretty much whenever he wanted. Pan and Ugmo guy having to turn all the way around for this, tracking it down and able to make that catch clean.
And it's one of those potential energy boosters as well, Luca, where your teams had to work really hard to get that point. Many turnovers for both sides, so they're definitely relieved to get their O-line some rest and put their defensive line out there.
Yeah, that's right. Something we talked about in other games, Theo, right? Doesn't really matter at that point in the point who started on O, who started on D. It's just about who scores, right? And who gets to, start the next point on D and have the momentum for your side going into the rest of the half.
Crocs again having to start deep in their own end zone. Able to work out of it kind of to the front of it with Matonis. Kirkman guarded by the very tall Hill there. Shampoo trying to come up with the block on Sion, unsuccessful. More bids from Hybrid. They're just bidding all over the place right now in this game. Kirkman high stall count, looking floaty throw. Lots of people in the area. And it's going to be tipped by Shampoo. There, no foul called. And it's going to be picked up by Hybrid.
Yeah, and if Hybrid can score here, I think this is a 7-2 run for the team from Michigan. They've really come on strong since that early lead from Crocs.
It's grabbing it under some pressure there. Matt slow to get up. Get a break around to Anna McClurkin. She pops up a throw. Kirkman snacks on it for Crocs. Another opportunity for them. Trying to stop that run, as you mentioned there, Luca. That's slashing to the open side for the score. They needed that score there and that hold.
Yeah, this all comes back to the turnover run. Sort of an unfortunate air bounce. Hard to tell how intentional that was, but those are always tricky throws to get right, especially when you're throwing breaks. But kind of before that, you notice how patient Hybrid is. They seem like they really are keen to use handler movement, cuts to the break side, and shallow throws that move the disc horizontally, change the point of attack. Good to see so far early in the season.
And their defensive intensity especially, just all the bids that they're throwing out there, it's just been really good to see, especially as you mentioned early season.
Right, yeah, that kind of stuff adds up.
Gives you a momentum, but a short field turnover here. And the D-line for Crocs working it around, looking for Becca, and she lays out for it. Saves the possession for the Crocs. Blaming again, quarterbacking this offense. Gets the jam cut, looking for Becca again, and just a little too far for her. Turnover for the Cleveland squad. Hernandez guarded by Zoo, finds Pan. Movement down the open side for this Hybrid squad here. So they get it back over to Perticone. Pan so dangerous as a lefty. They're getting it off the line.
Yeah, it definitely makes throwing those around breaks a lot easier, right? Your pivot point's different. Your mark has to kind of change where they set up, and if they cheat too much to give you the around break, it really frees up your backhand.
As you mentioned last point here, Luca, Hybrid really just being patient on offense, not forcing anything, really treasuring this offensive point.
No, that wasn't really the case for them earlier in this game, and they seem like they've made that adjustment into the second half, or into the later parts of the first half.
I mean, almost gets the block with Pan, able to snack on it, and throws it for the score. And Hybrid gets the hold.
And like we were talking about kind of at the beginning of this point, right? Those defensive bids, they add up over time, right? If you spend a whole game cutting under, and feeling like you're getting used to feeling a player blow past you, sometimes you begin to think about that a little bit more than you think about the Frisbee, and it can lead to late game drops. It can really change, right? Maybe it won't result in a direct block, but it can still have an impact on the outcome.
Yeah, almost like body blows in boxing or mixed martial arts, I feel like, just really working the offensive players there.
Yeah, and two, your teammates see that and they recognize that, and it makes them want to go out in the field and try harder as well.
Davenport, middle of the field, thought about a huck to Sion, fakes it.
Great job moving the mark with that fake. Right now the disc is all the way on the break side because of that pump fake on that huck.
Bigly cutting break side, looks him off. Looking for options here. And Matz just drops a little high, but expect her to come down with that one.
Yeah, another time that, throwing that kind of like backhand across yourself to the flick side, I think it throws off receivers. I don't think people think about it enough, right? It changes the spin. That disc comes in as a forehand, it's spinning the other way, kind of spinning into you versus spinning sort of out from you, and I think you see that leads to turnovers more often than not, more often than people probably give it credit for.
Why do you think people throw that backhand instead of the flick there? Are they just maybe just more comfortable without stepping out or something like that?
You don't change the grip, right? It's faster, and it feels like something that works in practice, something that, you throw casually. Oh, backhand across my body, not a big deal. But, people don't want to... I think it's difficult to bring yourself to throw like a short-range, touchy forehand, but I think in reality it makes for an easier catch.
Clark was looking for Dagger Margosian. He can't scoop it up. And so Crocs are giving a reprieve there. They were, reeling over there in their end zone. I think they're just going to throw it out for Maddie Pletsky. Got lots of steps, snags with one hand. Looking for options. Sion looked break and decides to call a timeout there. Reset his team.
Gotta wonder what the stall is here.
Out of the timeout, Binkley just bursts up line. Matonis did a great job of getting her defender out of the way, and Binkley just comes down right down the middle of the stack for the score.
Good play call.
Veteran player like Sion calling the timeout. As we see this point for half here. Hybrid on offense. So as if he faked going deep, gets it on the undercut.
Cuts like that, right, from the handler space where you kind of are cutting into a downfield lane and then coming back to the disc, kind of like a dominator cut, right? You're cutting in a way that makes it impossible for anyone else to get open, and usually you see a deep cut coming off of a called play dominator cut like that, and it just wasn't there. And now is a turnover. The Crocs have a chance to take half.
Graber is able to get in for the poach block. Zoo with it now. Inside shot to Burns. Simcoe with a great bid on Lehman. Can't get it though. Another flying bid, this time from Perticone. And they're going to have to reset themselves with some switches. Brigade gets it past a flying Stezlicki to Burns for the score and the spike. Wasn't easy for them, but they're able to get the score and the break for half.
No, yeah, hybrid bodies all over the ground, but, you know, Crocs hold their own. Able to get it done, get it into the end zone. Easy work for the team from Cleveland.
As hybrid now set to receive there. If you're both teams, I feel like you got to be feeling pretty good here. Tight game on serve out of half. Early season tournament.
I think there's definitely things you like, and then at the same time, there are things that you're, you know, going to the playbook for. And you're talking about, hey, like, is that the kind of shot that we need to be taking? Right? You're having conversations like that.
Throw too far from Maddie Simcoe. One of a few players from the Grand Valley State program, both on the men's and women's side. So nice to see some different college programs getting represented as Corman gets it over Pan, and he's going to launch a backhand into a pile. Looks like there may be a call.
I think he's calling kind of like an obstruction there. Like, it seems like he contacted a player before the initial block. And so I think that's why this disc goes back. But if you're just calling a foul on the actual defensive play of the person that caught the Frisbee for the D, I don't know if I'd agree with it. Either way, disc back in the hands of Crocs.
They're able to work it upfield despite a couple bids. One from Perticone again. I'm going to fire it to Graber. Graber tips it and O'Brien scoops it up for the score. Lucky play for Crocs, but they're able to get the break.
What happens here? This is just off Graber and then kind of just falls into O'Brien's hands. And I guess that's option A. I guess that works. So yeah, a break to start the second half for Crocs. Up 9-7.
You see Vukovic out there here for Crocs with the pull. Goes out of bounds. Similar O-line here for hybrid. Both teams using this as a testing ground for some of their lineups, as we see both teams going with similar O-lines for their offensive points here. Stezlicki gets it underneath, guarded by Vukovic.
Yeah, I mean, it's something we've talked about in other games too, Theo, right? It's like, this is a season where, again, not to say the games don't matter. I mean, this is a team they know they're going to have to play and probably beat at regionals. I'm not sure how many bids are allotted to the Great Lakes coming into nationals for the mixed division, but I imagine probably only one, as the only team that qualified from there was Cocktails last year. But one of our editors today said, you know, in the Slack or in the Ultra Discord, there's probably 40 teams right now that in the mixed division across the country that could be top 25 contenders, and these are both two of them.
Exactly, and yeah, it's good to see a highly contested final as Lucas gets the around for the score. Over to Stezlicki. And Great Lakes mixed. Luca, it's going to be fire, as the kids say these days.
Oh my God, Theo. Whatever you say.
We got Steamboat out there. We also have the Cocktails, of course, so lots of teams out here in Great Lakes mixed. And we see two teams here putting on a show as a call down field.
I feel like Cocktails is a team you'd expect to see in this game, right? And this is happening in Columbus. No travel for them.
Crocs able to get that quarterfinal win, 12-11 there.
Another team that we got to see at this tournament on some of the games that we filmed for Ultra-World was Shine out of Tennessee, right? So Jesse Schaffner, Eli Modica, and a team that really looked good. Took one of these teams to the brink in the semifinal, lost on Universe. That might have actually been pool play, excuse me.
Yeah, Shine was able to take down the Crocs, so Crocs actually finished second in their pool there, Luca. But Hybrid able to take down Shine in the semi, so that's how they got themselves to the final here. Tight cut there from Davenport. He gets bumped by Stotberg, doesn't call anything. Maybe called contact as they center it to Binkley. Big around.
Excellent break.
Just outside the end zone here for the Crocs. Trying to punch in another break as Davenport quarterbacking the D-line offense. Champeau doesn't get a hand on it, but his presence, I think, affected Matonis on the catch. Win. Going with a backhand over to Sarah Nitz. Grabs another huck there. She dunked on someone earlier. She's going to work a give and go with Stopper for the score.
7-cut action. Hybrid tie this game back up.
See Davenport eating his hat there, probably thinking about his throw earlier in this point.
And this huck out of the frame, so high, but I think it works in their favor, right? Gives the receiver time to get down there, gives the receiver time to adjust, and then a little give and go back into the end zone.
So Hybrid getting the break back. And now Crocs out here 9-all on offense. They're going to set her to Lehman, who's been doing a lot of the grunt work on defense. As Champeau flying. What a play.
He had that block lined up for 20 yards before he pulled the trigger on that bid.
He wanted that pretty badly, and they get a short field here.
This is massive for Hybrid if they can walk this in.
Handlers really tight together as they get to Mansfield. Timeout called, and I think that's a good timeout there, Luca, because things are looking a little bit messy there in the handler space.
I was going to say, I really feel like for the most bit, these teams have been pretty clean in the red zone, at least patient, but hasn't always, equaled goals so far.
You see a layout block in return for the Crocs, John Gergat with the block.
Hey man, you know coming out of the timeout that your matchup's getting the frisbee and you're on a 10, you're on a 9, you're just waiting, and that throw goes up and you have it the whole way because you knew it was coming your direction.
Mansfield tried to get the poach block. He was poaching off Coggeswalla there. Looks like the disc was going to stay with the Crocs with Lehman. Guarded by Nora Mertz. Burns catches the long throw. Flips it to Lehman just outside the end zone. And another pick called there will bring the disc back. Coggeswalla working against Mansfield. He's going to burn up line and get the score. That's got to feel good for the Crocs, 10-9.
Yeah, Coggeswalla, this kind of goes back to a reset cut that he makes, right? He sees his defender is not face guarding him, right? He has his back to him, he's looking at the frisbee, and that allows him to make kind of like a double move, which is how he gets open, and then he's able to throw the huck, and that gets Crocs offense back down the field. So just high IQ handler cutting. And that's a sick block.
Yeah, 2 sick blocks, right? Love the replays there, and I love when Champeau got the D's, pointing to his defense, saying, I got that one for you, pointing to the sideline there. Love to see that.
It's the kind of game it's been.
Leah, great defense there on Lucas, making it tough for the collect. Him and Gorman working in tandem.
Right now they're going to lose yards on their first throw because of pole coverage instead of potentially having that disc up out of the end zone by the brick mark. Makes a difference.
So Zeki resets it to Pan.
Oh.
Looks off Pan. Instead finds Stezlicki, who has to rise up for the catch. Looking for Besser and just too far for her. And the Crocs another opportunity.
Tight mark from Pan so far. Wow. Feels like, is there a foul call, or is he saying that maybe there's contact?
Stallcount was getting up there as well as Graber has it, guarded by Perticone. He's going to throw a very blady flick. And O'Brien can't come up with it. He's been thrown too deep a couple times, able to snag a few there.
Yeah, that was a weird one. That's a forced huck, right? He doesn't need to throw that. He has a reset option. So, I mean, don't just look downfield because you want to. Right? Make sure you take your shots and you had good shot selection, which I think for the most part of the game, both teams have done very well. That was sort of the first one in a few, probably a good half the game that really felt uncalled for.
Corman gets the block, calls a timeout immediately. That's his second layout block on defense on Alex Pan.
Yeah, Corman winning that matchup pretty much since that point where Pan took over.
Yeah, works it with Becca. And they find AJ Uthi for the score. Big break for the Crocs. They're excited.
No, look at some of this action. That layout D, wow. Pushing off a little bit and you just knows how far the separation is. And this, perfect upline, break side, just energy. Big lead in the second half for the team from Cleveland.
Yeah, Hybrid needs to settle things down here on offense. As Burns with the pull, rocking the Giannis. I don't even know how to say the name. There, Luca. Yeah, you got it. I was going to try to say it, but it looks like you got it there. Same cut as before. We see Stezlicki fake deep and then come underneath. That Dominator set that you mentioned. Lucas looking for Maddie Simcoe. Got tons of steps on Lehman. And just out of her reach. She did a great job of trying to read it, but it was a tough throw to catch there.
Yeah, bending the whole way. Good shot, though, right? You like the decision. Cutter had steps and put it out to space, and could have put it a little more float. Would have been a goal.
Crocs really trying to take advantage now. Up 11-9. Lehman looking for Burns to put the proverbial nail in the coffin kind of towards the end of this game, but can't catch up to it. Simcoe looking for Stezlicki. Gets touched by Lehman, but he comes up with it.
Concentration from Stezlicki there. Pan's upline cutting the difference.
Pan has a different matchup right now. Instead of Corman, it's Vukovic now that's tasked with him. He flies, doesn't get the D, and Pan able to get free there. Hernandez toes line not in still, but patience here from Hybrid as they need this offensive point. Pan working with Hernandez, still just outside the end zone. And Lucas scores free. Burns not happy with himself, but Hybrid's definitely happy as they're able to get that hold to make it 11-10.
And it's all front of the stack action for Hybrid. At one point, they had 3 cutters after a couple like top of the stack cuts that got open. They had 3 cutters sort of burst to the break side, and then they sort of stayed there and they cleared out of the middle of the field. I don't know if that was in purpose or none of them decided to retreat back to the middle of the field, but either way, more or less a clean end zone possession there for Hybrid.
You see a similar side stack play called with Binkley and Pletsky being isolated on the right side. Finds Kirkman. Up line. Just out of the reach of Champeau. Slime's going to float it around to Rachel Mast. And that's the game, folks. Crocs take the final 12-10.
We've seen Mast get in the end zone a number of times for Crocs. This team fought the whole way, right? Really high energy defensively from Hybrid, but Crocs scored when they needed to. They took half. They got their breaks in the second half, even when they got broken. And eventually, they walk in on offense, a relatively seamless possession there.
And you can see Chris Graber especially, but a lot of the players just very excited. First real tournament for a lot of these players, and they're able to scoop up the victory there in the SFI East Finals.
Great game, Theo.
Yeah, we enjoyed that. Thank you for tuning into Ultiworld's coverage of the SFI Invite East from Hillard, Ohio. I'm Theo for Luca Serio, and we'll see you next time.